On today's episode of the Art Creative Podcast, we're switching things up as the amazing Miranda Anderson takes over the mic to interview me, Sachin Kona. I'm excited to dive into my own journey from being an accountant to wedding photographer, the actual origin story of ARC, and the heart behind the community we've been building for so many years. Miranda and I also chat about the upcoming ARC conference, what to expect, and the unique ways that we're creating meaningful connections for photographers. Let's jump into this role reversal and explore what ARC is all about.
Hi, Sachin. Thanks for having me on your podcast, except today I'm very excited because I get to interview you. So we're doing little roles reversed. You just did my podcast a week or two ago. And so this is very fun. I've never been in this position to interview someone on their podcast. So I think it'll be very fun. And I have lots of questions for you. I'm excited to get to know you more. And yeah,
thanks for doing this. It was your idea originally. You sent me an email saying, hey, no one's interviewing you, and would you be open to it? So I really appreciate the opportunity to share, and I'm excited to dive into things.
Totally. Awesome. Just to get started, I would love to know your journey with how you even started.
So it started off with going to a friend's wedding in India and just documenting their day. I didn't really think of wedding photography and hadn't seen any real wedding photography. It was one of my first friends to ever get married. And this was around 2005-ish. And so we went to Goa in India. I took my camera with me. At the time, I was an accountant. I used to travel a lot and I always loved photography. I took a trip around the world after university and documented a lot. It was all on film. And just love photography. And I have two uncles on either side of my family who love photography, and I would learn a lot from them. But as it was, I would say I was a travel photographer at the time, and I just shot their wedding just as a guest. I didn't really shoot much of the ceremony. I just shot whatever I felt and wanted to capture. And then as a gift, my brother said Apple Macs at the time, you could create an album and give that to them. You just select the photos, stick it in an album, print and deliver. And now I know all of this stuff is really common, but they fell in love with that album, and a lot of people said my photos were really good. So then I started to look at other wedding photographers, and when I saw what other wedding photographers were shooting, my mind was blown, because I just saw incredible images, people traveling the world, shooting different places. This is way before places like Iceland or whatever were popular. Just the fact that somebody was shooting in Mexico or around the States and around Europe wasn't anywhere, was incredible. So as I mentioned at the time, I was a photographer, I was an accountant, and I was super stressed, and I just saw kind of a way out, and this just lit me up like nothing else did. I was so inspired and just so motivated to learn more and kind of make this my life if possible. But at the time I was an accountant, and so I kept doing the accountancy thing and just sort of learning about photography on the side. And I think I've mixed up my dates. I'm sorry. It was in 2008 when I went to India.
Okay.
And then in 2009, I moved to Canada thinking I'd be an accountant, but the banks had all crashed, and I had some kind of admin jobs, not to a level of a qualified accountant would do. But long story short, I just started on weekends to assist other wedding photographers in Vancouver when I was living out here. And then I just learned through other photographers, and I actually didn't like it at all at the time. When I first started, I thought it was really stressful, and it's not really what I want to do. I thought the pressure was insane, and just so many things going on.
Right.
But that's how I started. I kept going because I saw an exit, and photography still inspired me. So I just wanted to learn. I was part of Flickr groups and things like that, where we would do model shoots on the streets and learn about strobes and flashes and all that stuff. I just wanted to shoot, and any opportunity. And a wedding, why weddings is because you have the whole day to run around with your camera. No one asks you any questions. Everyone's happy. It's a celebration. It always ends with a triumphant, party, hopefully. And that I just loved. I love that. And that was very addicting. And so that's how I got into wedding photography.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So the first wedding you shot, did they have another wedding photographer and you just said, oh, I'm going to take these photos for fun? Or did they say, hey, Sachin, we want you to be our wedding photographer. Good luck?
Yeah, no, they had their own wedding photographer. Somebody probably from the hotel in India in Goa.
Yeah.
I was not requested to take any photos. I was that guest with a camera, and
Okay.
which we see now all the time, right? Like loads of younger kids and people like that who just want to take photos, and I was that person. And I wasn't really shooting the ceremony. I feel
Right.
like I got a handful of stuff. I was shooting all the stuff around it, and the
Cool.
couple just loved those candid moments, and
Yeah.
I was not.
That's amazing. Okay, so got you. That's such a fun like gateway to go in and have no pressure and just be creative. And then I can totally see how you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because it wasn't actually that wedding that inspired me to shoot other weddings. It was the confirmation that I got from the couple and the process of delivering something and putting that story together, and then thinking, I still didn't think I could do this. I had not been to any weddings. That was like the first ever wedding
Wow.
I think I'd been to, and one of my first friends to ever get married. And so it was seeing all those other photographers online. And I can name some people like Jerry Guionis, Susan Stripling, Chris Mountner, people like that who they're all still shooting weddings, and they're probably in their
Wow.
50s and beyond,
Wow.
I would say. But they're incredible. And I encourage everyone to check them out. It may not be the style that everyone loves anymore, but the way they see light and the way they document moments is what has set the standard, I would say, for a lot of the photographers that have come since, and then everyone's just evolved it since then. But they're legendary, and so they would.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's amazing. I'll have to look them up. I actually haven't heard of any of those photographers.
Yeah, great. That's good. That's good though.
So you move to Canada and you just start working your way up to wedding photography and shooting weddings. And now you are the founder of ARC. And where did ARC even come from? When did it start? What even is ARC?
I love it. Okay, cool. So yeah, to continue with that timeline, 2009 and 10, I was just here in the summers shooting weddings, and I was waiting for my visa to get processed. 2011, I started my wedding photography business, but back in England, I was waiting for my permanent residency visa to come through. It took another year. Well, it took like 2 years altogether. So I set up my business there. Then I moved it out here, and my whole thing was I want to be as good as possible, as quick as possible. So I invested a lot in education, having a mentor, having a guide, going to workshops, going to multiple of the same workshops. Like I went to a Fair Varsity workshop in Paris, and then he was teaching in Vancouver, and I was living here, so I went again because I knew it was a great way to meet all the photographers in Vancouver, learn again, connect with Fair, and just build my skill set. And there were two different workshops because the Paris one was sunny and bright, and the one that was in Vancouver was, of course, cloudy and wet.
Right.
So it was a completely different workshop. But the way ARC started was I would go to these conferences, and I would go to WPPI in Vegas. There was one here in Vancouver that now doesn't exist, but every year I'd go to it. And it was one of the best conferences in North America, I would say. It was so good, and it really hit that niche of photographers that were bucking the trend and not being so dramatic and editorial at the time. They were just a bit more grungy and alternative, I would say. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but it was different. And the photographers that would go there are now the photographers that are in the industry educating, like Ben Heish, Sam Blake, Sarah, and Dylan, and Phil Chester, Phil Orisi. Everyone was just going to this, and Jonas Peterson was like an attendee, but then they ended up speaking at it. And so the way ARC started was I was going to this conference, and then after a few years, I felt like I wasn't really learning anything, and I wasn't feeling the conference as much anymore. And I remember sitting there, and I was just taking notes of all the ways it could be better because I saw it deteriorating in my eyes. And I was bored, and when you're bored, you get inspired. I feel it's like really good to get bored and just sit in silence and do nothing and let your mind come up with ideas and just settle. And that's kind of how I felt there. I just felt super inspired. And it was actually Sarah, she was at the time with Dylan, Sarah and Dylan. They were talking about their business, and they were talking about how their business was on an arc and a trajectory. And as soon as they said that, I was like, that's the name. That's exactly what it is. We are always growing, and we're on a trajectory, and we're always evolving. And there's actually a little arc inside the symbol of ARC in the logo, and it's a nod to that as well. And that's what I feel life is. I was on this trajectory and this growth of being an accountant, and that came to an end, and then I was on a new arc. And so that's how the name came about. But really what I wanted to do was create a conference and make it my own, and then invite other photographers and people that I could see as the sort of photographers that I'd want to hear, not just wedding photographers, also commercial, fine art, fashion, street, things like that. And so that's how ARC came about. But I was no one, still no one, and I didn't know how to run a conference, but I wanted to just get into people's worlds. So I started an interview website, which is how ARC began. I started just creating a podcast, interviewing people like you're interviewing me. And then from there, the brand built up. And through those connections, I asked them if they wanted to speak and be part of this thing that I was creating. And so a year and a half later, the conference came to life in 2016.
Okay, so you started ARC in 2016. Is there anyone specifically that inspired you to start ARC, or would you say it was attending that conference and kind of watching it dwindle away and you were re-inspired to create something like that? Or was there anybody in particular who like really shaped ARC to?
That's a great question. I would say that it was the initial inspiration of wanting to create it and taking those notes and then sharing with others and telling friends about it. I think a great way to develop a business or develop an idea is to talk about it and share it with others, but the right people who can inspire you and encourage you, not necessarily just put it down or anything like that. So I spoke to people like Sherry and Mike, and I spoke to Taylor Rhodes, Brian Van Veek, and other photographers that were out here, and just developed the ideas with them. And then I would say it was then going to other conferences and sharing it with other people that I would meet and pulling ideas from those conferences as well to bring it into ARC. I go to things like Petra Kucha, which is another kind of presentation, creativity style event, and Creative Mornings, which I highly recommend. It's free. It's every Friday in most cities around the world. And I think I just wanted to make a mashup really of all of these sort of events and make it ARC and make it an experience. So the conference was always called The Experience. And I wanted to hold that name very high and hold me accountable to that name and make it an experience for people, and not just here's a boring hotel, let's sit down and turn on the projector, have the horrible conference ballroom lights on and just sit and take notes. And, I wanted it to be really fun and engaging. So I would say it's kind of a mix of all, but massive shout out to James Mose, who I would say was like my strategic advisor. He was like my Yoda. And he would be the person I would brainstorm ideas with, and he would really help me shape ARC and ask me just great questions and challenge me in certain ways to help me really flesh out the brand and develop it. And I would say he's been one of the biggest inspirations and guides for me, because I think we need that when we're starting something new. Yeah. It's really hard. And I wanted it to be different. And James really helped me throughout that. So he's an incredible photographer as well. James Mose, check him out.
Oh, that's amazing. I think it's amazing. It's so important to have those people surrounding you, and that's what really lifts you up. That's where you get places, is with your community. And that is the one thing I've always known about you, is that anybody I talk to in the photography industry, they know you and they know who you are. And someone is connected to you in some way, shape, or form, because you just love connecting with everyone and bringing everyone together. And it just really shows that you have just created such a huge community, and it just, I'm sure, has grown so much over the years.
Yeah, thanks, Miranda. I love to get to know people, and being new to Vancouver as well, I had a good reason to go out and meet people and to connect, because I wanted to find my community here and find my photography family, I guess. And so I love meeting people. I'm very social, very extroverted in that sense as well. And so COVID was really hard for me, because all of that obviously came to an end. ARC could happen for a few years, if not quite a few years. And so, to maintain those connections during that time was hard as well. But slowly built it back up, and it's awesome to see the impact that's had on others, and it's hard to tell because you see it in a different way than I would see it, because I feel like no one knows Vancouver, and I honestly feel that I'm like, people don't know who I am, or not from an ego place, but I feel what I've done isn't that big. It's interesting to hear that, because I don't see myself and say, well, I feel like I have to really get out there and put myself out and make sure that I can spread the word about ARC and bring it to people, because no one knows who I am. Is the story or the narrative in my head.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally wrong, because I've known who you are for forever. In starting that, and you just saying it was difficult during COVID, even when you were starting ARC, was there anything you were scared of, or what it was like the greatest challenge in putting together ARC?
So that's what I was scared of. I had really high expectations and loads of confidence when I first started it, actually. I wasn't scared. I was like, this is awesome. I was so stoked with creating the lineup, and everything that was there was, I was so proud of it that it was easy to promote. When you're just, it's like, oh, my work is good, what I do is good, people are happy, and I'm excited, so I'm going to tell the world, right? It's first year of being a wedding photographer, you want to tell everyone, because you want to get your camera out and you want to shoot, and so that's how I felt about ARC when it first came out. But what I was scared of was people not buying tickets, and the investment I had made, I'd saved a lot of money to put it together. It cost a lot. And that was very scary, because I didn't make any money the first year. It was a big investment, and if I stopped, it would be considered a loss. But I continued, so it wasn't a loss. I was second year I did it again, and I broke even. But that was a big fear. It's like, no one's gonna like this, no one's gonna come. It's like creating your wedding day and inviting all the guests, and no one wants to attend your wedding because they have to pay you to go. Because they have to pay you to go to it, and it's not cheap. So I was very fearful, and I was even this time. I think it's natural to be a bit afraid, but you just have to be confident, and I keep telling myself, just, but you believe in it. So as long as you believe in it and you would want to buy a ticket, people will want to buy tickets. They just don't know about it, or they need some more information before they pull the trigger. So give them more information. Get them
totally.
So that's always the biggest fear for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but it's been so amazing. So it's very amazing to see that you just continue to do it, and you had that fear, but you still did it anyways, and definitely has paid off and has changed so many people's lives by attending ARC, including mine. So there you go. What are you most excited for ARC happening this year, and is there any changes that you've made from previous ARCs that we can look forward to?
Oh, great. Okay, so I'll start with the changes. Different venue, and completely different vibe, way more intimate this time. And I think I would say the difference is the community. It's been 5 years since the last one, which I can't believe. It only feels like a few years ago that I last did this. But I've slotted right back into the production, and it feels, we just have the team is different. I think it's the behind the scenes stuff that maybe that is different. But from an audience perspective, having somebody who was a former attendee now be a speaker is a difference, right? That was always sort of the goal. Every year we have, and we're actually not doing it this year, but every year we have had attendees do mini Pecha style presentations, and then we have mini presentations. But because it's one day, we've stuck with the keynotes. I've tried to keep things very simple, so that is a bit of a change, but it will come back. And the goal was always to just foster community connections and growth, and to help people evolve, as well as do those things, internally as well, to grow myself, to evolve, and to keep making those connections, and then just create this hub, so to speak, for wedding photographers. So I think those are some of the changes. Having new speakers there is really exciting. And then we have some friends who have spoken in the past, like Sherry and Mike, and and Jeff from the apartment. So it's really cool to have them come back. But I'm really excited for there will be some surprises at the party as well, which will be different. There'll be surprises on the day, which I can't give away now, but those are differences. I'm really trying to shift how we've done things. And then I'll be hosting it. Typically, I've always just I've done all the planning, and then I sort of want to enjoy and be the attendee myself for ARC.
Mm.
But I wanted to learn and grow myself, so I'll be hosting it, and I'll be going to something called Toastmasters to learn and develop my own hosting skills over the last 3 or 4 months. So let's see how well that goes at the actual conference. So those are the differences. And what was the other part to your question? What are the differences
and just what ARC would be looking like differently from the years before. But
yeah.
I think I would say, like, as someone, I know there's a lot of people who are coming to ARC for the first time and they've never been to ARC before. What would you say in a nutshell they should be looking forward to and like getting ready for, like attending the conference?
Yeah, and that's a big change as well. I'm really designing it for the people who have never been to ARC before. And so
yeah,
I realized that when I did it the first year, it was a 4-day conference, believe it or not. This time it's only 1 day. Actually, it's 2 days because there's the workshops and then the conference. And last time it was workshops and then 3 days of the conference. And I think somewhere in the middle is actually where I want to bring it. But what they can expect is to be welcomed into a very open and friendly community. They're going to have ways in which they can connect with other photographers that are very natural and nothing forced. They're going to learn a lot, I would say, from some very experienced speakers, and they can expect to just, I hope, be entertained and have fun and learn in that way. Not just we're sitting down, we're just going to listen and take notes and rinse and repeat. That I want to mix it up, and if they're doing a workshop as well, which many attendees have signed up for the day before, I think they're in for a treat because that really sets a tone. They're going to learn loads from people like yourself and Jennifer Mohair, Sherry and Mike, Megan Henstra, Caroline, Jeff. Just really intimate, which is great. They'll get to meet some people, and then when they come to the conference, it's all of those amazing workshop hosts speaking, and then we're going to end with an amazing party, a celebration where there'll be a few more surprises as well. But I think they can expect to have a lot of fun, I would say, and just be so inspired for their next season, or like project them through the holidays into next year.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so exciting. I remember even when I first attended ARC in 2019, I was so inspired after, and I was like, dang it, the wedding season's over. I want it to start right now because I have all this new information and I am like so stoked and ready to go. So you definitely for sure will get that feeling, and I'm so excited. I think it's going to be amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, and with that in mind, the great thing about if you were to just go into your wedding season and shoot is that you can apply it, but with this it gives you space and time to actually implement things, to practice, maybe do a styled shoot, get to know those other photographers, build that community, and you have the gift of time. And people are typically, if you've had a busy season and summer can be quite draining, so hopefully this gives you energy and sets a tone for those months and gives us something really awesome to look forward to next year, because so many things that don't happen in that time, for example, curating your portfolio and trimming it down and really stepping back and thinking about, okay, this is how I Instagrammed, for example, this year. What do I want to do next year? These things take time to develop a strategy and a system to really implement them. And I think that's the advantage of doing it at the end of the season, is that you can actually start to apply that stuff. So that when you do hit the ground running in March or April, whenever your season starts, you're ready to go because you've implemented
totally,
and you're ready and you're fresh.
Yes. It gives you the inspiration to start implementing things, because I know sometimes it's so easy to like put those new things off, like rebranding, updating the website, going through your website and things like that. So yeah, it's actually at a perfect time for sure. How do you think ARC has changed the wedding photography community in Vancouver?
In Vancouver, I would say it's just given a place for photographers to come to, because we ran it for 4 years consistently. And even then, when we stopped the conference, we still did gatherings and events. But I think it's changed in the sense that it's brought people together. I really care about people's mental health and wellness. And I think we've shone more of a light on those. And I think that's one of the things that sets ARC apart as well, is that there's always a wellness aspect to it, a more of a holistic approach to business and creativity. But I think how has it changed the community?
I was going to say, from my point of view, I feel like without ARC, there wouldn't be this core community that people can come to and they know that is there. You have started like a base community where people can go to and ask questions and feel safe and like make new friends. And you are the person that started that in Vancouver, which I think is so amazing. And a lot of places just don't even have that.
Yeah, totally. And I think, thank you. And it's cool. It's cool to hear that. I'm glad that that's how it's been received. And I would love to bring that to more places in Canada as well. Like, I have really big dreams and goals for what I want to do with ARC. And that inspires me, and just helping creatives create, really. And joy through creativity as well is really big. So I feel like that's one of the things that I want to share. And I know people come from Calgary, Toronto. We've had people from Australia and the UK flying for ARC. But if we can bring it to them, I think that would be amazing. So the in-person experience is something that I want to continue to foster and grow. And I think how it's changed the wedding photography community in Vancouver is that it's a place for Vancouverites to go. I think that they know, and this is where it is. And I would love for Canadians to see it as, this is the place that we go to, and have people from Montreal and Saskatoon and wherever. I want to just meet Canadians from other places, and they either come here, or if we get invited or there's a way we can make it happen and go to other places, I would love to see that. And just really raise the standard for Canadians, even though it's already so high. It's really high, but I don't think the rest of the world really knows it. America gets a lot of the light, and so does a lot of you. But oh my gosh, I mean, we've had like wedding photographers of the year, and that consistently have been coming from Canada, right? And it's like, what? But where are all of those photographers going and looking at? So that's what I'd love to create long term. Yeah,
that's amazing. So speaking of, what do you envision for the future with ARC?
Yeah, so to run a really awesome event, have November go really smoothly as much as possible. I know there's always things that happen, and we'll learn from them and grow, just like any creative does. But I really want that to go very well. And then my aim is to continue creating the conference, definitely Vancouver as the base. And then, as I mentioned, just bringing it to other places, and not necessarily it being a huge 2 or 3 day event, but there are events happening and there are places that people can go to, knowing that, okay, this is the culture, this is the vibe of what ARC represents, and I want to be a part of that. And they're coming to our town, I'm definitely going to go, because I've heard great things, and I want to be a part of that community. I think that's what the future holds.
That's amazing. Is there any specific places that you would be so stoked to have ARC at, if you have anything at the top of your head?
Yeah, definitely. I have a friend in Vancouver who recently is moving to Calgary, and I was speaking to them right now. But yeah, I think it would be cool I think Calgary is the obvious first choice.
Yeah.
To do a different province, go to Alberta, I think would be amazing. Something maybe even in Banff or around the area would be so cool.
Really.
The photography and the landscape out there is obviously incredible. Outside of that, Victoria as well comes to mind. I would love to do something in Victoria.
Cool. Amazing.
So, I think that's what I'd like to see happen. I'm dreaming always, and I'm planting a few seeds here and there. But for now, all eyes, we're only a month away now from November for ARC. So my focus is on that, and then more will be announced at the conference for sure.
Okay, so exciting. Wow, that's amazing. Well, that makes me very excited. So to finish this off, What do you wish you could say to someone who's on the fence about attending ARC in the future?
Yeah, great question. I think if you're on the fence, then speak to somebody who's already attended and just ask them questions, because that would be the best reference, I would say. By experiencing it is believing, so to speak. You kind of have to get out of your comfort zone and go to something like this and be open to the experience, because it's actually the things that are outside of what we share sometimes online and what we think we're going to get from it is usually you may get that, but you probably get something bigger that was actually the reason why you were meant to attend ARC. And you realize, that I attended that conference, and the one that I mentioned, and it wasn't worth the value. I felt, no disrespect to that, but I wasn't really learning anything new. But the value was that I was meant to be there to be inspired to create art and bring this to people in a different way. So it was well worth going, because it showed me something else, right? But that's not what I paid for. So
Totally.
Being open to the experience, coming for that, I think is key. And there's something that I would like to say is that, if you're not happy within, say, 2 or 3 hours of being there, I'll give you your money back. Like, I honestly, I think you're going to get your money's worth within a few hours, I would say. Totally. Of attending, if not more. But if you honestly, genuinely feel like I'm in the wrong place, this isn't for me, I will give you your money back. Because I'm not doing it to be like a millionaire or something like that. Although that would be nice, but I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it because I genuinely want to serve, create impact, inspire people, and leave something behind that is that changes people's lives. And then if you inspire one wedding photographer, all the weddings that they've shot and all the beauty and the connections that they're going to make, and that resonates. That has a massive impact, and that's just one photographer, right? And how many weddings did you shoot this year? Like probably 30 plus?
40.
40, exactly, right? So inspiring you to create and give all this massive value to your clients and serve them in the best way, and to share that with someone, and then they go and do that. And then those 40 people, that's just 40 couples. That's 80 people actually. And then all their friends and family get to experience that. We're talking about thousands of people. So just that one photographer times 100, this has a huge impact. And that brings me, just knowing that gives me a lot of joy. And I would, and that's what I would offer and say to someone, if you're not happy, I'll gladly give you your money back.
Amazing. Yes, there will be such a big butterfly effect, and going in there, I think, open-minded, and just, you will probably be surprised what you actually end up taking home and learning and sitting with you for months to come. So thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for answering all of my questions. I'm so excited for ARC. It will be here before we know it.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Miranda. I appreciate having the space and the opportunity to share. And yeah, you're a great interviewer. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to listen to my journey about the evolution of myself in my career and in the photography industry, and really about building a community that supports your growth and creativity. Truly honored to be in this position. And if today's episode resonated with you, be sure to connect with me. You can head to the link below, shoot me a message, shoot me an email, or drop a comment and let me know what you'd like to see more of on these episodes. I'm excited to see you at ARC. If you're there, we're going to dive even deeper into all the inspiring themes that we've heard over the last few weeks. Let's really just celebrate this journey together at ARC. I'm excited. I'll see you there. Take care. Peace.